Debt verdict. DV. Title: ITT Tech scammed 208,000 students into debt. Formula: expose duration 12 min. They promised high-paying careers and handed out degrees worth less than the paper they were printed on. Then they stuck 208,000 students with $3.9 billion in debt. This is the story of ITT Technical Institute, one of the largest for-profit college frauds in American history, and the students who paid for it with decades of their lives. ITT Technical Institute was founded in 1969 in Indianapolis, Indiana. For decades, it operated as a for-profit college chain offering degrees in technology, business, and criminal justice. By 2015, ITT Tech had grown into a behemoth, 130 campuses across 38 states. Over 40,000 students enrolled at any given time, annual revenue exceeding $1.3 billion, and their marketing was relentless. Late-night TV commercials, billboard ads near military bases, targeted online campaigns aimed at low-income communities. The message was always the same: enroll at ITT Tech, get a degree, land a high-paying career in technology. They recruited aggressively from communities that had the fewest options: single parents working 2 jobs, veterans coming home from Iraq and Afghanistan, young people from families where nobody had ever gone to college. These were people who believed education was their way out. ITT Tech told them it was. What ITT Tech didn't tell them was the truth. Behind the glossy brochures and the polished TV ads, ITT Tech was running a machine designed to do one thing: extract federal student loan dollars. Here's how it worked. Step 1. Recruit aggressively. ITT Tech's admissions representatives were trained as salespeople. Internal documents later revealed that recruiters were given scripts designed to overcome objections. They were taught to find a student's pain point: financial struggle, dead-end job, family pressure, and exploit it. Former recruiters testified that they were told to enroll anyone with a pulse. Credit scores didn't matter. Academic readiness didn't matter. What mattered was getting a signature on a federal loan application. Step 2. Inflate the numbers. ITT Tech systematically lied about its job placement rates. On paper, they reported that 60 to 70% of graduates found employment in their field of study. The reality was far worse. A 2012 investigation by the U.S. Senate Committee on Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions, known as the Harkin Report, led by Senator Tom Harkin of Iowa, found that ITT Tech counted temporary jobs, unpaid internships, and even positions at fast food restaurants as placements in a student's field. One former student with a criminal justice degree was working at Arby's. ITT Tech counted that as a successful placement. Step 3. Trap students in debt. The federal loans weren't always enough to cover ITT Tech's inflated tuition, which could run $80,000 or more for a bachelor's degree. So ITT Tech created its own private lending program called PEAKS and QSO. These were high-interest private loans that ITT Tech pushed on students who had already maxed out their federal borrowing. The interest rates were brutal, sometimes exceeding 16%. Students often didn't fully understand what they were signing. By the time students graduated, if they graduated, they were buried under a mountain of debt for a degree that employers didn't respect. The cracks started showing long before the collapse. In 2014, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, the CFPB, sued ITT Educational Services for predatory lending. The lawsuit alleged that ITT Tech pushed students into private loans that it knew would default at alarming rates. Internal projections showed the company expected default rates above 60% on its private loan portfolio. 60%. They knew most students wouldn't be able to pay. They issued the loans anyway. That same year, the Securities and Exchange Commission charged ITT Tech's CEO Kevin Modeny and CFO Daniel Fitzpatrick with fraud. The SEC alleged that the executives concealed the true state of the company's private loan losses from investors. They hid at least $100 million in expected losses. The accrediting body, the Accrediting Council for Independent Colleges and Schools, ACX, was supposed to be the watchdog. They were supposed to ensure that ITT Tech's programs met educational standards. Instead, ACX continued to accredit ITT Tech for years despite mounting evidence of fraud. In 2016, the Department of Education finally stripped AX of its federal recognition, calling it a failing accreditor. And the students? They were left holding the bag. Veterans who used their GI Bill benefits at ITT Tech discovered their credits wouldn't transfer to legitimate schools. They had spent their once-in-a-lifetime education benefit on a worthless degree. Single mothers who took on $50,000 in debt found that employers laughed at their resumes. A degree from ITT Tech wasn't just unhelpful, it was a red flag. Climax. On September 6, 2016, the Department of Education banned ITT Tech from enrolling new students who relied on federal financial aid. Without that money, which accounted for the vast majority of its revenue, ITT Tech couldn't survive. The very next day, September 7, 2016, ITT Technical Institute shut down all 130 campuses. Overnight. No warning, no transition plan. Approximately 35,000 students showed up to class and found locked doors. Some had been weeks away from graduation. Some had just started. All of them had loans to pay. ITT Educational Services filed for bankruptcy on September 16, 2016, listing assets